everyone, welcome back to Faith and Flour. This is Robin. I hope you have been having an amazing week. It's been a crazy time in our family's life. We are still renovating a home and living in our current home part of the time while we do that. So we are back and forth. We've had some wintry weather and I got knocked down by the flu. If you've been following me, you may know that. And I just want to say thank you for all of the sweet messages I received and the prayers. I could really feel them. So thank you so much. The home that we bought is in a more rural setting than the one where we live now, and as you can see, Austin really enjoys his time there. I know he's going to love it, and we do too. It's nice to have a larger property to spread out a little bit more. We actually even have a little building on the property that's sort of a blank slate on the inside, so it's going to be fun down the road to do something with that. And as I showed you in my last video, we have sheep next door, so that is just loads of fun. And best of all, we are really close to the main campus of Peyton's program called Brookwood in Georgetown, and so the commute has been a dream. Each week we spend about half our time here, and then we go back to our current home and get a lot of things done. And one of the things that I really like to do is cook ahead. The best way for me to do that is to maintain a stocked freezer of basically all the proteins, which are the building blocks for me when I'm coming up with meal ideas. I have a video on my 3-step meal planning process, and I'll put it in the cards above and also down in the description box. I got loads of great feedback from you guys on that, so if you missed it, definitely check that out. With my well-stocked freezer, I was able to get so many meals prepared ahead of time, and this was the week before I got sick, so I was really grateful that I did that. I made a chicken in our Instant Pot, which turned out great, and I also made some bone broth, and I will link 2 videos below where I learned how to do that. They turned out great. And while we were busy getting things done back at home, we had some delicious ribeye steaks on the grill. Steaks can actually be a really good go-to meal when you are in a hurry because they don't take much time on the grill, and if you cook them on the grill outside, you keep your kitchen clean. On this night, I served them with some sweet potato fries that were frozen, and I just had to pop them in the oven, so there was almost no prep to do as well, and we enjoyed this so much. Having some steaks in your freezer ready to go on a busy weeknight is a great way to keep things simple and treat your family at the same time. The only planning necessary is to thaw out the steaks the night before. Now I want to tell you a little bit about today's sponsor, ButcherBox. I have been loving all of the high quality meats that our family has been enjoying from ButcherBox. They source from farmers and fishermen who meet the highest standards for quality. I like that you're able to choose your box and delivery frequency, and that they offer 5 boxes, 4 curated box options, as well as the popular custom box, so you get exactly what you and your family love. They ship your order frozen at the peak of freshness and packed in an eco-friendly 100% recyclable box. To me, what sets ButcherBox apart is their mission. ButcherBox believes in better. For them, better means caring about animals and our planet. It means improving the livelihood of farmers. Ultimately, it means better meals enjoyed together. That's why they deliver 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef, free-range organic chicken, pork-raised crate-free, and wild-caught seafood directly to your door. I love stocking our freezer with these amazing high-quality cuts of meat. In the area where I live, it's difficult to source all of these high-quality cuts of meat, and I definitely haven't been able to find them at the price that ButcherBox offers. Our family has been loving ButcherBox so much that we gave ButcherBox gift boxes at Christmas time. Right now, when you use my code down in the description box to sign up for a membership, you will receive 2 pounds of 100% grass-fed beef in every box for the lifetime of your membership. Ground beef is a staple in our home. I love to make hearty soups and chilies, one-dish meals like shepherd's pie, and main dishes like meatloaf. It's versatile, it's delicious, it has everything I'm looking for when it comes to high-quality protein, like being 100% grass-fed and grass-finished. And now for new members, it's free in every ButcherBox order you receive for the life of your membership. If you have been curious about ButcherBox, now is a great time to give them a try. Find my link in the description box below to take advantage of the Ground Beef for Life promo. Ground beef is a great base for lots of different soups, and I've shared one of my favorite vegetable soup recipes before, and I made this soup the week before I got sick, and I was so grateful. I have a basic sort of recipe. Actually, at this point, I don't even really follow a recipe, but I will link it down in the description box so you can get an idea of how I throw it all together. But the vegetables can be switched up depending on whatever you have on hand. That's the beauty of this soup. And the only thing that I consistently do is use ground beef as the base. This time I use my Instant Pot. Sometimes I do it on the stovetop, and I have done it in the crock pot as well. So no matter what you like to use, you can make this soup. To the ground beef, I usually add some onions, carrots, and celery, and then I switch up the seasoning from time to time too, but the one that I use the most often is just an Italian seasoning blend. After that's had a chance to saute, I add a couple of cans of diced tomatoes. And my favorite are the fire roasted ones from Meyer Glen. They are delicious. Now I usually add whatever vegetables I need to use up from the refrigerator, and if I don't have any, the vegetables that I like to add are usually frozen green beans, frozen baby lima beans, and frozen peas. And then I'm adding some of that absolutely delicious bone broth. It was easy to make from some bones that I had saved and from the chicken that we had earlier in the week, and I even made it in the Instant Pot right after I made the chicken, so there was no extra cleanup to do, and it kept things efficient, and I got a lot accomplished that way. Making your own bone broth at home is so good for you. It is the most economical way to get the most out of the chicken that you buy, and you can extract all of these great nutrients and collagen from the bones. That's what gives it that sort of gelatinous look when it's cold. It really fortified this soup and was exactly what I needed when I came down with the flu. This time when I made it, I had some extra chopped kale that I wanted to make sure that I got in there as well. And I have figured out that you can really pack the top of your Instant Pot because this will cook down super fast as soon as it comes up to temperature. So you don't have to worry about exceeding that fill line. And you can also do this with other leafy greens like spinach or cabbage. Those things work great too. And if you're not using an Instant Pot, you can stir them right into the soup when it's boiling, either on the stovetop or in your crock pot. To make this in the Instant Pot, I just sauteed the ground beef, onions, celery, and carrots until they were tender. Then I added all the other ingredients, including the kale at the top, and then I just set my pressure cooker to cook on high for 20 minutes. When it's ready, I usually do an instant release, which means a lot of steam comes out of the Instant Pot, and so that's why I like to put my Instant Pot on my stovetop so that I can use my hood vent above to capture some of that steam. I love using my Instant Pot for this because in a very short period of time, I've got old-fashioned vegetable soup that tastes like it's been simmering on the stovetop for hours. And you can certainly make it that way too. That is wonderfully comforting to have a big pot of soup going on if you have the time. And if you want to get it going in the morning before you leave for the day, if you have to be away from home, a crock pot is a great way to make it too. This soup is a staple in our home, and you've seen me make it before here on my channel, but it's so versatile because you can change up the flavors with the vegetables that you decide to add in and also with the spices that you choose. So I definitely encourage you to use my recipe as a base and then play around with it to come up with a creation of your own. We enjoyed a big bowl on the night that I made it, and then the rest I packed up for the week ahead. Another thing I love about soup like this is that it just gets better. So the next time you serve it, the flavors have had a chance to develop further, and I love it even more then. It also freezes beautifully, so this is a great way to prep for the week ahead or even a few weeks ahead down the road, because on a busy night you can quickly pull this out of your freezer and thaw it out in the microwave or on your stovetop and have a delicious hearty meal ready to go in no time. I have one more recipe which I want to show you today, and I think I saved the best for last because this pork chop recipe is probably in my top 5 favorites of all time. I love it because it is sort of an elegant meal, something that is definitely worthy to serve to your guests, but it's so simple you can make it on any weeknight as well. I will have my recipe down in the description box for you, but it is so simple. It's something that I think you'll be able to make without referring to a recipe. I make it all the time. It's just a few steps. So just start off by seasoning your raw pork with some salt and pepper, and then saute them in butter over medium to high heat until you get a nice crust on each side of the pork. Remove the pork to a plate and then lower the heat. You can stir in some orange marmalade. Sometimes I substitute apricot or peach preserves. They work really well too, so whichever you have on hand. I use probably 1 to 2 tablespoons. I just eyeball it, I never measure. And I just stir that around the pan, trying to get up all of the brown bits, basically deglazing the pan. And then once I've done that, I add a couple of tablespoons approximately of some Dijon mustard. And I actually didn't have Dijon when I made it this time, so I just used some spicy brown mustard. Anything that's sort of like a grainy mustard works as well. You really can't mess this up. The final ingredient is 8 ounces of heavy cream. So that's all there is to this recipe. It is very simple, but it's full of flavor. It's just absolutely delicious. Mix everything together really well, and then you can adjust the seasoning. If you need a little more salt and pepper, this is the time to add it. Increase the heat to medium and bring the sauce to a simmer. You can return the pork and its juices to the pan and allow the pork to simmer in the sauce for 8 to 10 minutes or until the pork has reached an internal temperature of 145 degrees. Serve this over rice. It is such a delicious sauce and it works really well with rice, but on this night I sauteed some spinach and served it with some of the sauerkraut that I made, if you remember from my last video. It was delicious. It was a really great combination. My family really enjoyed it. It lightened up the meal a little bit, and I found that we really didn't miss the rice at all. It was great this way. I also wanted to treat the family to a special breakfast over the weekend while we were at home, and so I cooked up this delicious bacon from Butcher Box. I actually make it in the microwave. You can sandwich it between 2 layers of paper towels and then cook it for about a minute per slice. You kind of have to vary that depending on your microwave, and it comes out great every time, and it's not messy at all. You just throw out the paper towels. And with that, I made waffles. Our favorite waffles are the gluten-free Bisquick mix. So it's very, very easy. I just mix that up, and then this waffle maker turns out the best waffles. They are so fluffy and thick, and 1 waffle per person is more than enough. So I have this waffle maker in my Amazon store if you're in the market for one, so check out that link down in the description box. But you just pour about a cup of the batter in on one side, you put the lid down and flip it over. It takes just 4 minutes, and there's a little timer on the side that really helps me out to let me know when it's ready. was over and it was time for us to head back over to our new house, I just packed up the vegetable soup and the sauerkraut so that we would be prepped a little bit for the week ahead. As far as the renovations go, it feels like we have slowed down a little bit, and I will explain a little bit more in a minute. But I did want to get the shelves finished in this closet that I showed you before. I hadn't gotten around to painting the beige shelves to match the rest of the white closet, and I did that this week by matching the same white paint that is in the trim that was already in the house. That way we'll have extra paint when we need to do any touch-ups with that. We still have to put baseboards in, so we're going to use it for that as well. But I started off with a brush just edging everything in, and at first I thought I could use a brush to get all of the shelves, but I switched over to a small roller which made really quick work of everything. And it's just so nice to tackle this small little project. And as I'm doing it, you can see I'm listening to a podcast on my phone. I will link it below, but it's called the Simple Farmhouse Life Podcast by Lisa Bass of Farmhouse on Boone. Lisa puts out such great content on her YouTube channel and also on her podcast. She's had some really interesting guests, and it really makes the time fly when I'm getting a project like this done to listen to something enjoyable like that. It's really a small thing, and it just took a couple of hours in the afternoon to get it knocked out. But now this not so perfect, not so new linen closet has a facelift. It's freshened up, and now I'm excited to put our linens in here when we move in. It's going to feel so much better than if I had just left it the way it was previously. Now for a little update on what's going on with the kitchen renovation. So as I said, things have slowed down a little bit. This is actually my office area, and it hasn't changed much since I showed it to you last. There are a few holdups. We're still waiting for some items from IKEA that are back ordered. We're waiting for a plumber and an electrician. Those things all have to be lined up and sequenced so that you can get everything done, and it just kind of brings everything to a slowdown. But we have put together most of the cabinets. We've got some light fixtures ready to go, and we have everything out of the kitchen so that it's really accessible for the electrician and the plumber. But we have things ready to move back in, and we're hoping to make some real progress on that soon. So I will give you an update as soon as there are any changes. Currently, all of the cabinet boxes have been assembled, and we have quite a few drawer fronts and cabinet fronts. So those things are ready to go, and things will move quickly once we can get all of these things back in the kitchen. But for the time being, they are hanging out here in what is going to be our living room until that time comes. In the meantime, we have several Turkish carpets that we had in our home in North Carolina that we never even used in Texas. They have been rolled up in a closet, and we have decided that we're going to put some of them to use. I'm not sure which one's going to go where, but we've tried one out in the guest room, and I talked to Peyton and asked him what he thought about using one in his room. So while he was away, and actually I was at home by myself, I found the one that I had in mine and moved it over to his room. Originally, when I was planning what we were going to do in Peyton's room and I painted the walls, I didn't have this carpet in mind. I had something else entirely different that I was going to order. But now that I have it in here, I think it might work. And after I showed it to Peyton, he really liked it, so we might be going with this. But it does have a little bit of blue here and there in the carpet that works with the walls. So once we get the furniture moved in, I will see what I think. But it's kind of fun to rediscover these beautiful carpets. This one is an antique that we haven't been able to use because they just didn't work in our previous home. So we will see. I really appreciate you sticking with me till the end of the video today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up before you go. And if you haven't already subscribed, I want to invite you to do so. We'd love to have you join our Faith and Flour community. If you are interested in stocking your freezer with some really great high quality meat, check out my link for ButcherBox and get your free ground beef for life. I love hearing from you guys, so make sure you leave a comment below. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a healthy and wonderful week ahead.